What's up, friends? I see you guys are already in the chat. Very exciting. You're all introducing yourselves. That's great. We're just kind of, getting started here. Everybody's logging on, getting situated. So let us know, where are you from? I see we got some Florida here. Let us know if you're new to Join Brands, if you've been on Join Brands for a while, if you've watched the other master classes. We got a really exciting one today. If you guys don't know me, I'm Alex. I'll do a full intro in a minute, but you might have seen my face in some of the other master classes. Today, if you guys did not know, I'm assuming you know because you all signed up, but we are focusing on our niches, our niches. What do you think it is? Niche? I know there's some debate about what we call it officially. Let me know what you guys think. I say niches because it rhymes with riches, which is what we all want to earn from making content, right? Which is what we're going to talk about today, how you can do that. I'm excited to dive into our masterclass today. Today, we are going to focus on, quote, tell me this pen, how to speak fluently in your niche and how to get better content, which is going to get you better deals, which is going to earn you more money and make you a stronger creator, which is what we all want, right? I'm sure you guys all want to level up as creators in 2026. I've got a great panel of guests today. Of course, I'm your host, Alex Gettlin, and today we're going to talk about all of our niches. We all specialize in different things. My specialties, I'll dive into more in a second, are comedy, and I've been a kind of all niche UGC creator. I have some specialties that I really focus on, like comedy and podcasting. I'll dive into that. We've got Christy, our tech and fashion creator, an expert in that, and then the dynamic duo, Matt and Maria, the fitness and lifestyle creator experts. Now, as I mentioned, I'm a UGC creator. A lot of you guys might know me from seeing me in the different Join Brands masterclasses on some of the Join Brands Instagram pages. I have been doing UGC full-time for about 3 years now. But in addition to that, okay, I'm also the dad of 2 toddlers. I've got a 3 and a 4-year-old boy. They are amazing. They are insane. It's like the WWE in my house every day. And of course, I incorporate them into all kinds of content. It's fun. And I also own a content studio. I'm a small business owner. I have a podcast and content studio here in Atlanta. So I incorporate all of that into my niches. But my specialty really, as I've been a professional comedian for just about 15 years now. So when it comes to content, that is what I always lead with. Now, of course, you can see here what's on brand for me is something that I have dubbed the haha method. Now, you can apply this to any niche that you're in, whether, you are kind of figuring out what your niche is. Maybe you're doing tech, maybe you're doing a lifestyle and fitness, maybe you're doing mom stuff. It doesn't matter because you can incorporate this into all of your content. But of course, being that I am a comedy leading creator, the haha method makes sense for me. Okay, so the first H, hook with the problem. We all know hooks, the most important thing when it comes to making your content. Okay, so you don't want to just open with the product. You want to do something that's going to grab their attention. So for me, right, pain point, I've got 2 kids. My mornings are crazy, jittery, exhausted. It's chaos at 7 a.m. Let's say I'm doing a product around some kind of clean mushroom coffee that's going to give me good energy to get through the day, but not overload me with too much caffeine. So some kind of, engaging hook that's going to be relatable. Then, of course, you need to have an authentic story. Make it real life. Talk about who you are. That's one of the biggest things with all content, but especially when you're kind of dialing down what your niche is. Make it about you. The more you can personalize it, the more that you can make it authentic to your real life, the more it's going to resonate, the more you're going to excel at what you're doing, the more the audience is going to connect with you, and the more that you're just going to naturally be able to tell that story in an engaging way, which is essentially what UGC really is. It is this micro storytelling. And the more that you can tell your story, your personal story, in a way that you emotionally resonate with, the audience will see that. It will convert to better sales. The brand will be happy. You will be happy, all that good stuff. But again, second A, authentic storytelling. So for me, like I said, I'm almost 40. I'm a dad. I own a small business, my content studio. I incorporate all of that. Of course, the second H, humor is a vehicle. Humor is great in all kinds of content, I say. But again, the laugh is the hook. The laugh is what keeps them watching. But the most important thing, and this is true for all niches, okay, the sale, the product, the service, the actual thing you are pushing, that's what needs to be the ultimate focus, the ultimate goal. So as you can see, action that converts. The funniest video in the world, if it's for UGC, it's useless if it's not converting to sales. And that's the biggest thing if you're a beauty influencer or a beauty creator, rather. If you're a tech creator, if I have a friend, she's all about gardening. She is like really dialing in on the gardening niche. And I remember I was working with her for a while on some stuff. And she was so focused. So she was doing different products, for example, like different tools and fertilizer and things. And she was so focused on like the beautiful aesthetic of her garden. She was forgetting to like drive the sale to the product at the end of the video. And it's like, listen, this is a wonderfully engaging video, but you have to remember that the goal of this is for the brand to get customers, for the product to be purchased. So again, you have to make sure that the CTA is strong, and that is ultimately what you are trying to drive the focus on. People can smell fake, boring, generic content from a mile away, especially now more than ever. You guys all know we're all online. TikTok, Instagram, even on YouTube. Being authentic is the most important thing. It's also the only thing that AI really can't take away from us, because AI is pretty good at a lot of stuff. You can still obviously tell if it's like an AI talking head versus a real person. You can a lot of times tell when even it's like AI B-roll, but authenticity is what we're craving now more than ever. And like I said a second ago, the funniest video in the world is useless if it doesn't convert. So the more that you can, again, dial in what your niche is, what you are authentically excited about, what resonates with you, it's just going to come out so much easier when you make your content. So here's an analogy that I want you to think about. Imagine that you're going into a gym and you have two scenarios here. We've got some fitness stuff. I'm going to let Matt and Maria really tackle the fitness stuff properly, but just for the sake of this analogy. Now imagine going into the gym and you're doing a little bit of everything, right? You're at the gym for the first time. You're on the treadmill. You're doing classes. You're doing yoga. You're doing spin, weights, whatever. In the very beginning, when you're kind of figuring out where you land in this space, that's fine. But then I want you to start figuring out, what do you excel at? So let's say you go to the gym and you're like, hey, I hate the treadmill. Me. I hate, literally, Alex Gettlin, I hate the treadmill. Not a fan. However, love the bench press. Really enjoy lifting weights. Okay. So in this analogy comparison, imagine that you find a certain niche that you're like, I love doing this kind of thing, whatever it is. Maybe it's supplements, maybe it's games on your phone, maybe it's productivity apps, whatever it is. Give yourself some time to like figure it out organically. Don't focus, oh, I got to do this, I got to do that. But once you land on that, become elite at that and then build around it. Same with the gym analogy, right? Okay, let's say you are like, hey, I really enjoy weightlifting. I don't love the cardio stuff. Focus on that first and then build around it, because when you have that anchor point, when you have that thing that you're like, that's my thing, like that's what I excel at, that's what I'm good at, it's going to give you that internal confidence that when you do try to tackle some of those other niches that maybe isn't your first forte, but you have an opportunity or you want to branch out, you're just going to be so much stronger as a creator overall when you know what your specialties are. So again, for me, like my background is in podcasting and comedy. So like I always lead with that, but I have learned to get much better at other things that sometimes brands want, like ASMR videos or get ready with me's that maybe aren't funny. They're just kind of like aesthetic, whatever. Because I have that foundation of like, what is my specialty? It's so much easier to get better at all of that stuff. The laugh framework again. And I want you guys, please, if you're not, take some notes. This is going to be on YouTube later. You can always go back and watch it again on the Join Brands YouTube channel, because again, even though this is all specifically for me as a comedy forward creator, all of these lessons apply to any creator. Everything here you can put into your life, because ultimately, like I said, if there was one core message for this masterclass, it's figuring out what authentically excites you and is part of your life, and then build your niche around that. Okay, so the laugh method first. Lived experience. What is your lived experience? Well, with me, it's a dad with littles, happily married. I've got date nights with my wife. I've got bedtime stories I'm trying to cram in with my kids. I'm running a small business. Okay. So again, for me, I want to give some specific examples of how I make that funny when maybe you wouldn't think of something that relates to that specifically, right? So I do a lot of stuff in the tech space. I get hired a lot for brands that have productivity apps and apps that can streamline my work as a business owner. Well, there's one angle about how you can help, lower my overhead running my content studio, make me more money. And that's great. But there's also a lot of funny angles about how, like, great, now I'm not missing bedtime with my kids, or I'm not falling asleep in the middle of bedtime stories because I'm so exhausted from the day. There's ways to kind of add little elements of your life that maybe don't relate exactly right what that tool or app or product is, but you're making it about you and how your life is better, enriched, more fun, your problems are solved, whatever it is. Again, bringing it back to your authentic lived experience. So again, you want to start with the angle, second A, angle. I did a campaign recently for a company that does credit checks for car loans and things of that nature. So a funny angle could be, me waiting for the bus, or maybe even getting on a bus. Like, oh man, I thought I was gonna be on the bus forever. And then kind of doing the turn about how, but thankfully, due to this credit acceptance program, I was able to get a car finally. So again, just think of like creative angles that could be relevant to you in your life. Also, you want to tap into a universal truth. Find the feeling that everyone relates to and make it specific to you. Again, the drivers of good UGC is emotion. The things that's going to get people to stop scrolling, keep watching, and ultimately click through is resonating with those pain points, with those emotional points. So whether it's solving a problem for you and relieving stress, maybe it's just making your life better, you're more confident, you're more happy, whatever it is, think about what those universal truths are, those experiences, those emotional points that are resonating with you, and then convey them in your video to the listener. I like to go self-deprecating. I think it's fun. Again, depending on what you're doing, your niche, your kind of product might not always be relevant, but for me, I think it's funny. I also really enjoy doing a lot of like two-person skits, like me playing me. So for example, I have a video I just shot for, they're like earbuds. This is a universal pain point I'm sure everyone can relate to, right? Let's say you're trying to fall asleep, you want to put some earbuds in, but they're like bulky, sticking out, they're hurting, you lose one when you roll over. These are designed where they're so snug. I'm going to have this on my social channels in like a month after the brand clears it, where you can't even, like, they will not come out when you're sleeping. Like, they're honestly amazing. I tried them last night. They're great. So I did a sketch where I am like in bed furious, like, oh, this is awful. And then me, like other me, introduces the earbuds to me. And so again, I was kind of like making fun of myself in that. Very specific to kind of the humor angle, but I play around with that, see if it relates to the kind of content you want to do. And then finally, the most important thing, again, you got to hook it into the CTA. Ultimately, like we said, funniest video in the world is useless as far as UGC goes if it's not converting to sales. So the laugh is the door, the sell is the room. Never let the joke outshine the point. That's key. Okay. Now, I know, for example, when I first started UGC, even coming from a background as a professional entertainer, I still had a little bit of that kind of like imposter syndrome. It's a new thing. I tell people I do a lot of coaching for all kinds of creators, but I have a lot of peers who they themselves have been actors, comedians, podcasters, and stuff. And I tell them, I'm like, think of this like a different sport, right? Imagine you were playing basketball your whole life. And then all of a sudden, you're going to learn to play baseball. Well, it's a different sport, but you're still an athlete. You're just kind of moving from one sport to the other. Okay. So think of it, whoever you are, whatever your background is, whatever kind of space you're coming from, find out what actually excites you and then build content around that first. Think about that. Maybe you're somebody who loves cooking. I'm not a good cook. I can barely cook, but I can get through it. Cooking stuff, listen, if the brand is hiring, I will do it. Okay. I can make it work for the camera. But if you authentically love cooking, making new recipes, just start making some content for yourself too. Like not even just for UGC, but even just to practice. I tell everybody, if you want to do this at a high level, if you want to be one of those creators that earns 10K or more a month, which you totally can, it is totally doable. You have to want to get better at it every day. So if you have time in your week or your month, whatever, set aside time to just practice with no pressure. You're not even making a video for a brand. You're making it for you. You're making it to challenge yourself to be like, oh, I can do this thing that I thought I was an imposter at, but now I'm better. Because then with the reframe, you're not niching down, you're specializing, right? So whatever that stuff you are excited about, maybe you love sampling whiskeys, or maybe, you do love that fitness stuff and you want to get better at your fitness routine and document it. That's just going to train your brain how to better understand the kind of content that brands want to see, that people want to watch, that's going to make you able to operate at a high level as a creator. Again, remember, you're making yourself findable and impossible to replace. I think that all sounds good, right? If you guys are resonating with this, let me know.